energy expert Adil Nchabeleng joins us now via video link to weigh in on the country's energy crisis. Thank you so much, Adil, for your time. So 26 days of no load shedding. The minister saying that it's not an election tool. Experts say that it is a symptom of, good maintenance amongst others. Just give us a sense of what we should be attributing this no load shedding streak to.
I think the great, congratulations should be given to Eskom staff for keeping the power plants running. They've been doing incredible level of maintenance as well as stabilizing the current power fleet. The issue of load shedding in South Africa is squarely located at power plants. All the other periphery issues that everybody else mentions are not really related. When we don't have enough capacity to meet the demand, only power plants can sufficiently support that network grid, or else we are all going into a load shedding stage. So far, there's been a huge effort in terms of improving the maintenance quality. Power plants are running longer and the maintenance is stabilizing. And there's been a huge improvement in terms of the maintenance threshold, whereby Eskom even pushed to about 8 to 9% in terms of increasing 9,000 megawatts at some point on increasing maintenance threshold. They have reduced the current level of breakdowns to really around 14,000 right now as we're speaking, and they are pushing it further down to hopefully reach by June about 70, where we will be sitting with about 70% of EAF, where they say by June next year, within a year from now onwards, Eskom will be sitting at around 70% of EAF. So it's quite encouraging to see that over all these months and years, we've been saying that as long as you maintain the power plants and keep them running in a steady condition, you would have no load shedding. And this is the reason why we have no load shedding, because power plants have been returned to operation, including the Medupi and Kusile, including the Kubek nuclear power station, including the hydro dams, including the current diesel power plants related. And they're all functioning and they are providing the sufficient electricity needed. It doesn't mean we're not out of the load shedding threshold. If anything drastic happens, we lose 2,000 or so, we are going to go into a load shedding stage.
I want to talk about renewables, but before I do that, I want to go back to what you've just said. I mean, one of the other things that we used to be talking about, of course, is how these plants need to be maintained, continuously, was also as a result of lack of funding. So, I mean, the question then is this, part of one of the enablers that we are seeing, Eskom now all of a sudden having this kind of funding? Could that also be the reason why we are seeing this very good run in terms of these power plants?
Absolutely. You've hit it on the nail, by the way. You've hit the nail on the head, because this is what has happened. Eskom has increased its maintenance budget. Over the period they've been spending, now they've just declared that they've spent about 30 billion rands in respect to maintenance. It's a huge investment that has gone into maintenance, and it is yielding the results that is required. So on the aspect of maintenance, you have hit it on the nail. Eskom has increased its budget on maintenance, and they've been prioritizing bringing back power plants and ensuring that there is efficiency in power plants operation, and giving really resource-focused teams and people working. And the new team, by the way, including the new GCEO, Group Chief Executive Officer, has been really working extremely hard to make sure that they ensure that each and every power station is capacitated, empowered, has teams and has people working on it. And there's been a priority focus. I mean, to just give you an insight, is the new CEO has even created a strategy whereby he engages the stakeholders that are related, which is power plant related, people in the industry, people in the associations, people with regards to the unions and everybody. So he's really trying his best to bring onto the operational efficiencies to make sure that they improve the state of Eskom, and they focus on the business of generating electricity, not doing politics and really politicking. So, the political aspects and the remarks and the comments that the minister is making, I think he's a politician. We're not politicians. We based on the analysis part of what is happening in the energy. He can actually, argue that with political leaders and political parties as to who's using load shedding for electioneering. But in respect to fundamentals, the improvement has come from power stations.
Now, Adil, on the issue of renewables, I mean, and their importance in averting the energy crisis, how can the use of surplus electricity arising from these existent, renewable energy facilities be fast-tracked, just to improve the supply-demand balance? I mean, how easy would that be, especially in the face of finding IPP contractual solutions?
Look, actually, the IPP solution in terms of these mega renewable builds, built away from the transmission line, built far from the cities, built far from the industries, is not a solution to actually, curbing the issue of load shedding. Okay. The issue of renewables should be prioritized by government, by ESCOM, and a program should be rolled out by ESCOM that looks at household rooftops. Household and retail and commercial space rooftops. There's enough rooftops in South Africa whereby you can actually place the renewable, your solar on the rooftops. You can even do mini, wind, turbines that are sitting on a mini level for households, for retail environment. And that should be an encouraged environment where ESCOM should start working with municipalities and delve directly into communities and make sure that they get to the end user customer and saying, if your consumption is this much, can we do a partnership whereby we encourage you with an incentive to go on a rooftop level and make sure that you can then have battery storage and everything, and then they can build mini grids around it whereby energy storage as well as utilization can be managed from on a mini grid level. So in encouraging rooftops, solar to happen is one of the biggest things that we should be driving now, telling households, telling shops, telling malls, telling centers, schools, hospitals, clinics, if they could all just, install, and again, there's a court order that says that public schools, that says hospitals, that says clinics, as well as police stations and priority key point areas must be actually removed away from load shedding. So if that installation happens, a huge chunk of consumption of energy can be relieved and be moved away from the demand on a daytime level, because most of those facilities don't use the day at nighttime, and it can be removed from daytime. And that will help in terms of increasing the capacity of rolling out of renewables, particularly your solar, your battery and inverter technology, and then the refeed back into the network, which means the grid can receive part of that energy if it is required in a small little grid management environment.